Most of the world records of tonight's species have been caught right here in South Florida. This silver bullet is famous for its screaming runs. Its favorite food is to eat shrimp and small crabs. And if you haven't guessed by now, we're talking bonefish here on the Florida Insider Fishing Report.
Welcome to the Florida Insider Fishing Report, powered by Harbor Trucks and presented by Yamaha.
Hello Floridians, and thanks for coming back for more on the Florida Insider Fishing Report. We're talking about bonefish this week, but this weekend is Father's Day, and Captain Rick and I know many of you will be on the water, but you cashed in on Father's Day weekend a little early, so why don't you tell us about your family trip?
So, Bree, you know, we left here. It was my birthday, obviously. We went down to San Salvador. So it was me, Ridge, Colin, and Kathy on a little family vacation.
Aww,
so while we were down there, guess what? We were doing some marlin fishing, and Kathy hooks this monster 500-pounder.
What? You
After
go, Mama.
2.5 hours of stand-up tackle, we get him on the leader, and you know, the next picture, as you're going to see here in a second, is the release of the happy family. But 20 minutes before she hooked that fish, Colin hooks a monster. Look, a 275-pound, maybe up to 300.
Wow.
Big mako shark trolling, ate a marlin lure. It was just typical, you know,
That's amazing.
Cool stuff.
What a great family trip.
It was
awesome.
It was
so proud
awesome.
of you guys.
It was really
Go
awesome.
Murphys.
Go Murphys.
Proud of you. All right, well, let's welcome back Dave Ferrell at the CCA Workbench, who was also on a family trip last week. Everyone's going on family trips, man.
Yeah, well, you know, it's that time of year, summertime. We went out to Yellowstone.
Nice.
And caught some cutthroat trout.
All right.
Pretty cool.
Everyone's fishing.
Yeah.
Got to get out there. All right. Well, let's get started here and get pops on some bonefish in the Casa Vieja Southeast region with Captain Jimbo Thomas. What do you say, Jimbo?
Hey, Bree, Rick, and Dave. Well, you know, we have some of the some fantastic bone fishing here in the Southeast region. North of Government Cut, bonefish are an incidental catch, but as you get further to the south, like the inside and outside flats from Government Cut, South Angelfish Creek, and Biscayne Bay, they offer some of the best bone fishing in the world. Now for tackle, 8 to 12-pound bin, 20-pound fluoro leader, and a 2-0 hook, that's your basic setup, or an 8 to 9 weight fly rod with crab or shrimp pattern flies. Also pink or brown flathead skimmer jigs and 1/8 to 1/4 ounce, they work very well as weighted shrimp and small live crabs. Now our good buddy Captain Joe Gonzalez, he's been finding bonefish first thing in the morning and then again late in the afternoon when the water isn't so hot. He's been fishing on the oceanside flats from Soldiers Key south to Elliott Key, and he says the higher stages of the tide have been the best. Then in the middle of the day, he's been finding schools of mudding bonefish along the edges of the flats and in roughly 4 to 5 feet of water, and down in that deeper water, those water temperatures aren't so hot, so those fish are hanging out there. And he says a well-placed jig, fly, or a well-placed jig, fly, crab, or shrimp in those fish's path, that'll get the bite. And the average fish in Biscayne Bay is around 6 to 8 pounds, but fish up to and over 10 pounds are not uncommon. Now, I got a photo here, and this is Val Snyder with a big Biscayne Bay bonefish that he caught with Captain Joe Gonzalez. Now, fishing in the same areas as the bonefish, the flats at the south end of the region, they've been seeing some great permit fishing. And again, Captain Joe Gonzalez, he's been fishing both the inside and outside flats from Soldiers Key south to Angelfish Creek, and he's finding both cruising and tailing permit. He says look for hard bottom flats with good moving water on both the incoming and outgoing tide, and a small live crab placed in their path, that'll get a bite, or you can try placing a crab pattern fly in front of them. And you want to wait for the sun to come up to get prime visibility, or if there's overcast conditions, try working over a light-colored bottom. These permit have been in the 10 to 25-pound range. I got another photo, and this nice permit was caught by Rick Lombard, and he again was fishing with Captain Joe Gonzalez in South Biscayne Bay. Now moving offshore, dolphin finally has started to pick up in the last week. We've been finding schools of fish roughly 8 to 15 miles offshore, but the problem is that a lot of these fish have been on the small side. So you want to pick through the small ones, keep those legals, and we've been tagging and releasing the short ones. And basically, when you hit a school, the larger fish are going to typically bite first. That's because they're the most aggressive. That's why they're bigger. So once that size of the fish starts shrinking, you want to move on, look for another school. Now, most of the schools have been under birds and scattered sargassum, as well as turtles. If you see a turtle out there, good chance dolphins are going to be around them. And they've been traveling to the south. And when we do find them, they haven't been too finicky. We've been getting them on the troll with rig ballyhoo and small lures. Then once we find the fish, we've been pitching live pilchards and cut bait like bonita, ballyhoo works good. There's been a few larger fish. They've been caught under frigate birds and debris. You just have to get lucky finding those bigger ones. Our other offshore species, blackfin tuna, they've been biting in depths from 120 to 250 feet of water. Best baits have been live pilchards, sardines, herrings, and goggle eyes. If you got enough wind, fish them under the kite. Otherwise, you can slow troll or fish them on the flat line. You want to use a light leader, 30 to 40-pound fluorocarbon leader, and 4.0 to 6.0 circle or J hooks. And the best bite's going to be anywhere you can find some blue water and north current. Now, these tunas, they've been biting throughout the day, but first thing in the morning and then late in the afternoon, say from around 3 o'clock until sunset, that's when they're going to bite the best. And like always, live chumming will definitely help bring these fish up. And most of these blackfins, they've been in the 20 to 30-pound range.
All right, thank you so much, Jimbo. Great report. We're going to go and take a look at the R&R tackle hotspots. Jimbo says inshore. Get on the flats early before the water heats up and cast live crabs or shrimp to tailing and cruising bonefish and permit. And then offshore, head offshore in search of the bird activity, floating debris and weed lines, and be ready to catch dolphin with rig ballyhoo, small live baits, or even maybe a cut bonito.
Bonito. All right, the Keys is a perfect place to find bonefish and spend Father's Day. So let's hear from Captain Randy Tao and see what the dads will be catching in the Garmin Keys region this weekend.
Hey, good evening, fish fans. You know, here in the Garmin Keys region, bone fishing is certainly something that a lot of people want to try to do, whether it's with bait or a fly rod even. And we've got bonefish from Key Largo all the way to Key West. Now, Isla Morada has been really the bonefish capital of the world for a long time, with most of the world records, like Rick was talking about earlier, were caught right here. And some of these fish, 13 to 16, 15 pounds, really big ones. But a lot of that changed about 9 years ago with a long cold spell we had. And the bonefish kind of went away, and they've started to come back. And we're getting more and more bonefish around the Upper Keys and Marathon. But where it really changed was Key West. Key West has some excellent bone fishing right now, and they never used to have much down there. And a lot of those guides out of Key West are really able to target bonefish and catch them pretty easy as far as their sight casting. You know, most people love stalking the bonefish. That's the whole beauty, kind of the love-hate relationship when you find one and you cast and he doesn't bite or you spook him. But it's the challenge, and people really like to take that on. And there's several ways of doing it. You can sight cast, you can blind cast, where you're fishing a little bit deeper water and you throw your shrimp out in a known area where you think they might swim by, and guys do it that way. I call that kind of the beginner bone fishing. And you know what? If you catch one and you kind of break the ice, it makes that casting and frustration down the road a little bit more tolerable, and it just depends how you want to play the game. I've got a photo of Bernard Paulhuss from Pompano Beach with his Isla Morada bonefish. He doesn't look too excited.
Looking good. Tell me about the permit, bub.
You know, the permit had been around for the last few months. At times they get hot and cold, but right now we had the new moon, which we just finished up on. We had big tides and a lot of current, and guys are finding them on the ocean side because they're tarpon fishing. A permit swims by, so sometimes they even throw a tarpon fly at them and they can get a bite. But guys will bring live crabs, and that's usually the ticket. A small blue crab live on a 15 to 20-pound spinning rod will really make the job work. And guys are finding them on the oceanside flats, and they're also finding them around the bridges. So these fish right now will get around the bridge pilings, and a lot of time guys that are tarpon fishing will catch a permit at the bridge. So when you're fishing those crabs, right now, this time of year, the water's hot, and they love the crabs a little better than the mullet. Mullet are getting harder to catch, and we're kind of fading out on mullet fishing. And the permit just love eating the crabs right now, and especially with the grass. A lot of grass around the bridges, so therefore they're on the pilings, and everything else is going on. I've got a photo from Captain Frankie Ortiz. He's a guide out of the Lorelei in Islamorada, with his angler, John Calhoun, releasing a permit.
All right, tell me quickly about the dolphin and the tunas, bub. I mean, yellowtails, I'm sorry.
Dolphin fishing has been really good. 600 feet, 700 feet, depends on where you leave from, if you're in Key Largo, if you're in Marathon or Islamorada, but the birds have been key. Now, yesterday, the birds were flying with the current going to the east, and they were all nice big schoolies and gaffers. So you want to pay attention to what your birds are doing. And I did hear of some 30, 35-pound fish being caught. But I had an interesting email from Captain Scott from Sarasota. He sent me a picture. He's a big fan of the show. He was watching it. He heard the dolphin report. He got his buddies Greg and Corey and Jacob together. They came to the Keys, and they had a successful trip, and he sent me this picture.
There you go.
All right, tell me about the yellowtails, Bo.
Thank goodness the yellowtails are coming back, because they were gone. They took a little hiatus for about 4 weeks. Now they're starting to show back up, and they're cooperating. And it's always nice when they behave the way they should. 60 to 90 feet of water on the edge of the reef. Good current is always key. And start your chumming, but just be patient. I always tell people it's a process to make these things happy so that you can catch them. And when you throw your oats, you want to pay attention to those oats, because when they start to turn bright yellow, those yellowtails are in those oats, and it's time to start fishing. One rod, I like one rod at a time, and no more than about 12-pound line with a small piece of cut ballyhoo or bonita on it will get the job done. And I've got a photo from Captain Jay with 2 Conchs Charters and Marathon with his half-day yellowtail catch out of the Isla Bella Beach Resort.
All right, bud, thank you so much. We'll talk to you next week. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the hot spots from the Florida Keys. Randy says that inshore, the tarpon, we want to fish the bridges on the bay side on the rising tide, fish the ocean side when the tide is falling. Live crabs are working best. And then offshore, dolphin, birds are key. Try to get in front of the birds so that they come to you. And have your rods and tackle ready for the fish.
How about that dolphin bite, huh?
How about it?
How about it? All right, it's tournament time in the Carmen Keys region, so let's take a look at what's coming up. The Veterans of Foreign Wars Fishing Tournament, set for this Saturday in Key West, is a family-oriented inshore and offshore tournament that offers cash prizes and proceeds benefit a VFW relief fund in the Keys. The Ladies Let's Go Fishing Scream and Reels tournament, set for June 21st and 22nd in Islamorada, is for beginning anglers looking to enjoy a weekend of learning and fun. The Islamorada Fishing Club's Captain's Cup Dolphin Tournament, scheduled for June 26th through the 27th, features a cash prize of up to $25,000 to the boat team with the highest aggregate weight of 3 dolphin. The Del Brown Permit Tournament, July 13th through the 16th in Key West, honors the late Keys angler Del Brown, who caught and released 513 permit on fly. The event is a fundraiser for the Bonefish Tarpon Trust and the John Ain Memorial Fund. For more information on all tournaments in the Florida Keys, it's available at flakeys.com. Now, Rick, another Keys tournament to look out for, there's one more, is the Key West Marlin Tournament, July 17th through the 20th, where you can win $50,000 in guaranteed cash prizes coinciding with the annual Hemingway Days celebration. Entry is limited to the first 75 boats, so make sure to register at keywestmarlin.com. I'm not done talking yet. We're keeping this weekend afloat over in the Discover Crystal River Northwest region, coming up and seeing what Dave has for us at the Academy Sports Rigs and Techniques at the CCA workbench. Time to get back to work, Dave.
I need to go down there and fish in that marlin tournament. That's what I need to do. Rick's going to show us how to catch bonefish, because I only know how to use them for bait.
Oh. Wow, you're going to catch him. You're going to catch him on that one. All right, we'll be back.
The Florida Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Harbor Trucks. Visit harbortrucks.com. Yamaha. Reliability starts here. Contender Boats. Always in the game. Sirius XM Marine. Weather, fishing info, and channel surfing. And Daiquiri Deck. Sarasota's favorite place to meet.
Titan and Titan XD Diesel from Harbor Trucks has America's best truck warranty, 5 years, 100,000-mile bumper to bumper, and can tow up to 12,000 pounds. Harbor Trucks has the largest selection of Titan XD and Titan in Florida, starting at $29,000. Harbor Trucks is conveniently located halfway between Tampa and Naples. Harbor Trucks, the place to buy.
Meet the water's lightest 25 horsepower four-stroke, the all-new Yamaha F25, the new standard and 25 horsepower portable four-strokes. At just 126 pounds, it's got the best power-to-weight ratio of any 25 horsepower four-stroke on the water. With performance that bests the previous Yamaha F25 and features like Yamaha's VTS for precise trolling speeds, batteryless EFI, built-in resting pads, and carry handles, it's the perfect portable power for small boats.
As close as you're gonna get to a sure thing for catching billfish is Guatemala.
They're here, man. This has been a 20-year run, buddy. These things haven't left. There's no cycle.
When it comes to sail fishing, this is the real deal.
The amount of sailfish here is ridiculous.
Well, we're here at the Academy Sports and Outdoors Rigs and Techniques at the CCA workbench.
Yeah.
And Dave, we're talking about catching a bonefish.
Yeah, you know, and South Florida is the king of bone fishing, you know. In the whole United States, besides Hawaii, which they catch a few every once in a while, Florida is really the only state we can catch them, and really South Florida is where if you're going to target them, that's where you have to go. They'll catch one every once in a while up in the Panhandle or way up in Jacksonville. You know, somebody will catch one time, but they're a warm water fish, and they like to be out there down there on the flats. And when the good incoming tide comes up, those bonefish with their little underslung mouth will come up on those flats and dig out worms and shrimp and whatnot. And you guys down there like to chase them around in that flat water because they like to take off when they eat.
Absolutely. You know, so Dave, I think first thing you need to know is I still use mono for bone fishing because they have great eyesight.
Right.
You know, some of the fellas are using some braided line. They're using braided line with a trace of fluorocarbon leader. I just tie a double line, and this is 10-pound mono. And so essentially what we'll do is we'll tie a double line, then we tie on a offset 2-0 hook. I'll put a split shot here, and then we just simply either use a crab, a small crab this time of year because the shrimp are typically small. But I like the fact that when I use a 7.5-foot rod, I can throw that shrimp a long way with the 10-pound line. So this Akuma Ricky Red Rod medium action works perfect for me.
So you just tie straight from the double line to the hook, huh?
Yeah, no leader.
I gotcha.
Yeah, so you got double 12.
Right.
But you know, there's other ways that guys like to fish for them. If you don't have shrimp, then what you can do is, if you're poling on the flats, a lot of times we'll fish with small bucktails. Again, real small. This is calf tail, and I like it. They love chartreuse. Bonefish like chartreuse, especially on sand. You know, you gotta. The key is you gotta make sure that it drops and hits the bottom and makes a little sand puff in the sand. Then there's also some guys like this is an old jig that Pfluger made a long time ago with a triangle head.
Sink slower.
And then it has, I use this for redfish and mudding bonefish. It's brown, so in the mud they see it. It also has a weed guard, so it works real well in the turtle grass. Only weighs 1/8 of an ounce, so it's, you know, it doesn't make that bad of a splash. So there's other things that you could throw to them. Certainly all the fly guys love to throw different flies. And here's my best advice to you guys if you're watching. The depth of water is the key to which fly you're gonna pick. Tailing fish, you don't wanna have flies that have big lead eyes. You wanna have a fly that maybe doesn't have any eyes, like this one. This is the Chico's Bonefish Special.
And what, when they're got their head down in the gravel or in the mud, why is the no eyes better than the
because
eyes?
of the splash when you make the cast. That's the whole key. Real shallow water, they hear everything, they see everything. They're real spooky at that point. But then as the tide comes up, then you might start to go to little bead chain eyes like this crazy Charlie here, very popular fly, little light bead chain eyes. Then you might notice they're all still small, but then as the water gets 2 or 3 feet deep, then we call this the red-headed stepchild. It has lead eyes. The lead eyes and the bead chain eyes are the same size, but obviously the lead eyes are a little heavier. So remember, you know, there's a variety of different things they like to eat. I won the spring bonefish tournament fishing a clouser, chartreuse and white clouser. It's the only time I ever won it, but this was our go-to, you know, fly. The thing that we do, I learned this from Lefty many years ago in Walker's Cay. Throw the fly, watch the fish's reaction. If you see him accelerate to like he's where your fly is, you're stripping little tiny strips. You want to give the fly a lot of life, but not move it very far. When you think you have a bite, and most of the time they eat it and swim towards you, so they swim slack in the line, you never feel the bite. The next thing you do is a long straight strip like this, and if you feel him, you just raise the rod and he's on, clear your line, and you're a hero.
Yeah, exactly. Otherwise, I'm wrapped all up in the line usually. That's what happens to me. He eats it, and then I'm tangled up.
You're ready to go catch a bonefish now, aren't you?
Bonefish 101, there it is.
Bonefish 101. All right, let's get Captain Jeff Hageman on the line in the Discover Crystal River Northwest region to get us on track for catching Dad a big one this Father's Day. Tell us, Hag.
Well, we don't have a lot of bonefish in my region, but we get occasional one caught every now and then, but it's more bycatch than anything. But we do have Captain Mario Costello of Tall Tales Charters out of Plantation in on Crystal River. Reports a good cobia bite right now from Homosassa to Yankeetown. He's fishing around any type of structure from shallow flats out to the deeper water wrecks and reefs. He's finding them on channel markers, floating debris, so keep your eyes out when you're running from spot to spot. Right now he's using a free-line finger mullet on a 6/0 circle hook. And Captain Jimbo's got a little bit of the same report. Saltwater Assassin Fishing Charters out of CFT. He's also saying there's a really nice cobia bite showing up inshore. He said keep your eyes out for big sharks, manatees, big rays. More than likely, they're going to have a cobia following right behind them. And I got a couple photos from Captain Mario and Captain Jimbo of some nice cobia.
Those are nice, Hag. All right, tell us what else is happening.
Inshore, Captain Michael Anderson of Real Animal Charters out of Tampa Bay reports the south shore of Tampa Bay right now is on fire. The snook bite has been really good. He's catching up to 40 to 60 snook on a trip. And he said the redfish bite's also really good right now. Live sardines has been the key. Same thing with the redfish, but the redfish also are responding really well to cat threadfin herring. And I've got a photo there of Captain Mike with Cooper Sherman with a nice 41-inch snook. Now, Mike with a 41-inch snook, it doesn't look as big as it usually does because Mike's huge, but that's a 41-inch snook. That's a big one right there.
Yep.
Captain Jimmy Huddleston of CaptainHud.com reports the Ozona snook bite's also going really well right now and very consistent on the outgoing side. Most of the larger fish are coming on big pinfish, head to the bottom with a 2-ounce weight to keep them in that target zone a little longer. The snook are staging up right now around the schools, inside most passes, and laid up in eddies that form a great atmosphere for them to attack these baits. He's also seeing redfish in his region, too, and they're holding in the high water mangroves. Cut bait has been the key. Cut mullet and cut ladyfish tucked up under the trees has been his go-to. Moving offshore, the mangrove snapper bite. We got this moon coming up right now, and the snapper are going to start concentrating. But in St. Pete and really any part of the south part of my region is really good right now. Higher leaf structures, 30 to 70 feet, live shrimp, live small pinfish on a knocker rig is a hard-to-beat bait for those. They're going to be in that pre-spawn, and they're going to start concentrating up really good over this next moon. So get out there and get some of those. And Captain Joe Grant of Fish Jetty Charters out of Hernando Beach says the red snapper bite right now are anywhere from 60 to 100 feet of water right now. And he's looking around a little bit when he gets out there, hitting spot to spot, trying to find the thicker schools, and catching most of his fish right now on live shrimp and pinfish. And I've got a photo here Have a nice red snapper caught in 70 feet of water off of Panhandle.
All right, man. Thank you. Great report there, Hag. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the Anytime sunscreen, mosquito repellent, hotspots from the Northwest region. Hag says that inshore, snook on the beaches and the passes use pinfish and grunts for bait. Try a knocker rig with a 4-0 or a 5-0 circle hook for the live bait. And if you like artificials, try the Bass Assassin saltwater shad in the northern minnow color. And then offshore, mangrove snappers can be found on high relief structure in 25 feet of water and out. Try pinfish or pilchards for live bait.
Pretty fish coming out of the Northwest region. All right, CCA Star is amongst us, and although Star does not have a bonefish division, if you catch one, it can be entered in the Power Pole Conservation Division.
Whoa.
And yes, whoa. And remember, inshore and offshore anglers have the opportunity to win their share of $500,000 in prizes and scholarships, plus a chance to win a fishing trip with one of our FIFR regional captains. So if you plan on fishing this summer, get registered at ccafloridastar.com. All right, if you're rigging that up for a fishing trip in the Yeti Panhandle or Bell's Southwest regions, then stay hooked because we are coming to you next. Plus, we have some special guests here in uniform from the North Miami Beach Police Department right here on the Florida
Insider Fishing Report.
Oh, wow, look at that.
The Florida Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Power Pole, Swift, Silent, Secure, Bass Assassin, and Saltwater Assassin. The best lures, period. Blue Water Outriggers, everything for your outdoor adventure. Garmin, join the club. Kubota, find a Kubota dealer near you at gokubota.com. And Casa Vieja Lodge, 5-star angling in beautiful Guatemala.
I'm Captain Rick Murphy, and I'm a life member of CCA. Why am I so involved with CCA, you ask? Because I want our fisheries to be in better shape for my kids and their kids. CCA is working to ensure the future of recreational fisheries and the rights of recreational anglers. The future of fishing starts today with you. How do you want to leave things with your kids? If you're like me, you'll want to make the right choice and go to joinccaflorida.com right now.
Harbor Trucks has the largest selection of new and used car and truck inventory in Southwest Florida. Our used vehicle inventory goes through a 120-point inspection process performed by certified technicians. Exclusive to Florida Insider Fishing Report viewers is our Peace of Mind Harbor Truck Warranty. If you don't see what you're looking for, give us a call and we can get it for you. Go to harbortrucks.com and click on the Florida Insider Fishing Report tab.
Real Legends Performance Clothing. Everything you need to be comfortable on the water all day long. Keeps you cool, dry, and protected from the sun. Durable performance technology at an unbeatable value. Shop anytime or go to reallegends.com to find a Bell store near you.
I'm 1,000 miles from nowhere, and there's no place I'd rather be. I'm 1,000 miles from nowhere, and time don't matter to me, 'cause I'm 1,000 miles from nowhere.
Hey guys, Captain Rick Murphy here from the Florida Insider Fishing Report, and let's talk a little bit about one of the features that Sirius XM Weather has to offer. So remember, it's a satellite subscription that you can get. You don't need to have cell phone service, but one of the things that I think about is so many times I'm in the Florida Keys and fishing out of Isla Mirada, and I'm wondering about the fishing conditions over on the West Coast, 50 miles or so from here. And I can tell you in the past, I've made that run and it was simply a bad decision. But by going and highlighting the marine zone that I want to know the information about, I can simply get the forecast instead of having to listen to the NOAA radio. The best part is that I can check one spot and then 15 or 20 seconds after reading the text, I can turn around and check a spot 20 miles to the north, maybe Key Largo. Or I might decide to leave Isla Mirada because of the way the wind direction is, and I want to fish down off of Bay of Honda. it's not that big of a deal. Just highlight by simply touching the screen. It highlights the marine zone, and then I don't have to listen for a 15-minute loop reel on what's going on the NOAA radio. So it's called Marine Zones with Sirius XM Weather. Check it out, and I think you'll see that it will really help you make much better decisions in changing your fishing locations. So as you guys can see, I have my friends from the North Miami Police Department, and we have Chief Larry. Larry, why don't you introduce yourself as well as the Major here?
Thank you. We appreciate you having us, Captain Rick. I'm Chief Larry Juriga, as you said, with the North Miami Police Department. And my partner here is Major James Mesidor.
So Larry, you know, last year we got involved in this fishing tournament it's called Cops and Kids. So why don't you tell us about how it went last year, as well as what do we expect? It's coming up here rather soon.
Well, we appreciate your partnership and your generosity. Last year was an extremely successful event, and we're looking for another great event this year with our Cops and Kids Fishing Day. All kids are welcome, and we're looking for kids to come out so that we can teach them the basic fishing skills from casting, baiting hooks, and knowing the importance of letting the little fish go so they can come back and be the lunker fish. And the most important thing is we want to engage with the youth in our community. We want them to know that we're their friends, and we're here to help them, not only on the fishing day, but every day in the community.
So James, you know, we had a lot of kids come last year. So where is this going to be held?
It's going to be held at the North Bayshore Park in North Miami. It's located on 123rd Street and North Bayshore Drive. And it's June 29th, Saturday, June 29th, from 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. It's going to be a great opportunity for us to interact with the kids.
Now we know that some of the kids are going to get some rods and reels. The kids that participated last year, you need them to bring their rods so that we can all share?
Yes, I'm glad you brought up that point. Yeah, they could bring their rods. All the kids will have an opportunity to fish. However, you know, there's a limited supply of rods that we're supplying.
Well, man, I'm so excited for all of you guys. I hope that if I'm around on the 29th, I can maybe come. You might have some donuts for us. You know how they say about cops and donuts.
That's good. That's a good one. Very good.
So if they have any questions, they want to know, is there a website that we can go to, Larry?
Certainly. They can go to northmiamipolice.com or call our station, 305-891-0294.
Well, we appreciate how you guys take such good care of us and keep us safe. And, you know, Brie, speaking of safe, we got to go to another safe region to find out what's happening for this weekend.
No donuts for you, Rick. All right, Captain Pat Deneen knows what it's like to be a father on the water in the Yeti Panhandle region. So, Pat, give us the Dad's Day lowdown for the weekend.
You know, Brie, we don't really have bonefish up here in numbers that are fishable. I mean, they're caught, you know, a couple times every year, but what we do have are plenty of trout and redfish, and fishing for either has been real good. Captain Wes Rozier in Pensacola, he's been smashing trout in the Perdido Bay and the middle parts of the Escambia Bay. The key to finding the trout right now is finding grassy shoreline flats where the water's not too fresh and not too salty. We just had a big rain pour last weekend, so it's going to be pushing those trout south in Pensacola Bay system, and over in Choctawhatchee Bay, they're going to be pushing west, basically away from those river mouths. Captain West has been targeting grass in 3 to 5 feet of water, primarily casting topwater chugger style baits and skitter walks in the morning, and then switching to a midwater twitch baits during the daytime. The trout are running 15 to 20 inches, and then also inshore, the redfish have been biting really well. Captain Justin Leake in Panama City reports a consistent bull redfish bite around the Hathaway Bridge and the Tyndall Bridge. Both those areas, it's kind of a deep water fishery where you want to mark the fish on your sounder or fish around the pilings and then drop bucktail jigs down to the fish. But with that being said, be ready for some of those fish to push bait up to the surface, and you might have some surface activity. In other areas, the docks in Santa Rosa Sound are producing a steady bite of redfish on live baits. You want to concentrate on docks with larger boat lifts because generally speaking, there's going to be a deep hole underneath that lift, and that's where those redfish like to hang out. The bridge reds are generally over slot bulls, while the shallower redfish are the slot-sized fish. And then moving offshore, the red snapper season opened in state and federal waters for recreational anglers Tuesday, and there are plenty of red snappers coming to the dock. The fish gulf structure in 60-plus feet of water, both natural bottom and man-made structure. And if you don't have numbers, go to the county website, look up some of those public artificial reefs that are made, and some of those, not some of them, many of those deeper spots are holding plenty of snapper. Live bait is best, but a 2-hook chicken rig baited with cut bait will work as well. You hold up over the bottom structure. Fish are baits 10 cranks or so above the bottom. Legal size is 16 inches total length, but 8+ pounders are common. And the last couple of days, I've seen several in the 25 to 30-pound range being brought to the docks. And then finally, staying in the same areas where the red snappers are caught, gag grouper fishing in the northern Gulf has been really good this year. They're often caught on the same areas as the snappers, but if you want to target the bigger ones, generally go out to the structure in 250 to 300+ feet of water. Fish with heavier tackle, leaders to 150 pounds in that deeper water, generally 80 to 100 pounds in the shallower water, in 100 to 150 foot of water. Captain Tony Davis on the Anastasia, he recommends bigger baits to kind of discourage snapper bites, fish from 10 to 15 feet off the bottom. The bigger baits, like I said, are going to discourage the snappers. The 10 to 15 feet is going to give you a head start once you get a hookup. And Captain Jason Hallmark on the Sea Fix out of Destin, they caught a 68-pounder this week, and I guarantee that head start for winding them up was much needed. There's a photo of a beautiful gag grouper caught with Captain Kurt Reynolds on the Vengeance out of Destin. And man, that fish, it looks like it needs to be a model for a replica.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. What a beautiful picture. Thank you so much, Pat. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the blue water outrigger hotspots from the Panhandle region. Pat says inshore, speckled trout and redfish under the lights in Santa Rosa Sound. Use live shrimp and minnows with 20-pound fluorocarbon leader. And then offshore, red snapper is open in state and federal waters. Fished natural and man-made, structure in 60+ feet of water.
Okay, Captain Ronnie Houston in the Bell's Southwest region has got you covered inshore and offshore this weekend. So, Ronnie, talk to us.
Well, it's always grateful to be here. We got a special Father's Day weekend coming up. Weather looks good, so get out and get dad fishing. We don't have bonefish in the region, but I'll tell you what. The tarpon fishing, and with the weather changing right now, Captain Corey McGuire up in the north end of the region reports the bite has still been steady from Fort Myers Beach to Boca Grande, and actually north towards Venice. He's telling me crabs on a float line along with thread fins, free-lined or under a float off the beaches. He also tells me the fish should continue to keep coming from the south, especially with the approach of this moon we're having. He expects a new batch of fish coming in, especially with the weather changing. He's telling me 8 to 10 foot, 60 to 80 pound fluorocarbon with a 5/0 circle hook for the crabs and a 7/0 circle hook for the thread fins. And I got a picture release of a tarpon that was just recently caught by fishing up in the northern end of the region. So the weather looks like it's going to be breaking to be good. Get out on the beaches. Now on the inshore side, the snook. That bite still remains to be steady throughout the region. Beaches and passes all along the coast, especially with clean water. These fish can be sight casted at the higher stages of the tide, and it's as simple as walking the beach. But down towards the southern end, Indian Key to Lossman's River, you want to concentrate on the outside Gulf Islands and point. Most important, you want to have good water movement. The tide really doesn't make a difference, like I said, as long as you have good current. So on the higher stages of the tide, you want to concentrate your efforts on the mangroves, and the lower stages of the tide, you want to concentrate on the points of the islands and passes and along the outside edges. Baits that they're being caught on right now would be live pilchards and live herring, or cut mullet and ladyfish on knocker rigs, as well as the Bass Assassin 5-inch stag dappers, golden silver spoons, and one of my favorites, the Rapaller skitterwalks in bone, chartreuse, chrome, and black and silver. And I've got a picture of a nice snook that was just caught, oversized, fishing to the south with Captain Brian Sanders. And I got a special picture, being that it's Father's Day, a couple nice snook caught by my dad in the backcountry just before the closure of snook season. So the fishing is great on the inshore side. Now we're talking the offshore side. Second week of red snappers, Captain Mike Avenon reports Marco Island and Fort Myers Beach. Concentrate your efforts right now in depths of 140 to 190 feet. He's telling me using live squid or live sardines and live pinfish will do the job, and they can be caught by simply drifting. But he tells me on the calmer days, you want to concentrate on anchoring up, especially on the lighter stages of the tide. You're going to have to be patient. You might have to lighten up on your leaders because the water's pretty clean out there. And please make sure you carry a venting tool, because there's a lot of fish being caught, and you don't want to make sure you vent those fish before you release them. And I got a picture of a nice red snapper that was just caught while fishing with Captain Mike Avenon. So those fish are definitely out there. Second species is going to be the red groupers. You want to concentrate your efforts from Fort Myers Beach to Stump Pass, according to Captain Corey McGuire. He's telling me there's still plenty of good red grouper fishing right now. He's telling me moderate weather, obviously, to run out. He's telling me the depths right now are 90 to 120 feet. And he's telling me right now with the red snapper bite, when you get a limit of red snappers, you can come back into these depths, Simply bounce 4 to 6 ounce white bucktails with squid to locate the fish while you're drifting. If you start catching some legal fish, anchor up, use cut squid, herring, and sardines. So for the person who's learning and doesn't have the spots marked, this will be a good way to locate fish. And I got another nice picture of a nice grouper that was just caught to the south with Captain Mike Avedon. And I will tell you, I'm just getting in off offshore trip, catching both red snappers and groupers. And I will tell you, both captains that are coming up with these reports, those depths were key. You just got to put in the time and be patient. Small pieces and big pieces, you got to bounce around. Their fish are holding on just about all of it. But I will tell you, get out this weekend. Take father fishing, get them out, and next week let Captain Rick Murphy know you're bringing home the snappers.
Thank you so much, Ronnie. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the Catty Can hot spots from the southwest region. He says inshore, redfish, Coon Key to Indian Key on the outer Gulf Islands. On the higher stage of the tide, using live pilchards, herring, gold spoons, bright-colored walk-the-dog lures. And then offshore, red snappers, mahi, and blackfins. Gordon's Pass to Fort Myers Beach, fishing moderate weather, 150 to 200 feet of water, and keep an eye out for the birds and chasing baits.
Man, Ronnie was on
Crashing
point tonight.
baits.
I loved it.
He
was good. He's
He
always
was.
on point. All right, coming right up, we're seeing what the Central East region has to offer, and then seeing what our CCA workbench master Dave Ferrell has for some last-minute Father's Day gift ideas.
Dave's got always love to have a good hat.
Oh, good hat.
I know.
He's taking that one home.
Keeps the sun off my beautiful
It does.
face.
I can see that.
I got to keep my skin porcelain-like.
Yes, you have to keep it that way.
Yes, I do.
We'll be right back, guys.
The Florida Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Academy Sports and Outdoors. For all, for less. Soft Science, Supreme Comfort Footwear. Real Legends, exclusively at Bell's. Okuma, Inspired Fishing. Discover Crystal River, Florida. And Maverick Boat Group, makers of premium boat brands Maverick, Hughes, Pathfinder, and Cobia.
Yamaha's 4.2-liter V6 offshore 4-strokes. For those that like their V6 lighter, faster, and stronger. Setting new standards for power, efficiency, speed, and lightweight. Built for the rigors of offshore boating. Packed with Yamaha's legendary reliability. And now Yamaha's 4.2-liter V6 4-strokes offer a choice between digital or mechanical controls to match your rigging preference. Yamaha. Reliability starts here.
How do you aim a 36-yard shot with a 30-yard fixed pin at a 15-degree angle with a 7-inch holdover without moving a single pin? Easy. You get one of these. Zero, the auto-ranging digital bow sight from Garmin.
Hey guys, Captain Rick Murphy here, and I want to talk to you about some of the cool tricks that we use in the Murphy household when it comes to cleaning our boats. You know, keeping up with 3 boats can really be problematic, but we've got it down to a fine science because of some of the great products that Starbright makes. Now, our go-to as far as the boat wash is simply the Citrus Boat Wash and Wax. But every once in a while, we gotta have a little bit more brawn. We gotta have something with a little more punch. And it seems like the Extreme Clean really is working very well for us. The reason why I like this is I can spray it on literally everything. I can spray it on my vinyl, I can spray it on my stainless steel, aluminum, as well as the fiberglass, and it doesn't take the wax off. The reason why that's so important is you know, bleach is certainly not good for your gel coat. It's not good for the environment. When we put our boats in and we pump out the bilge, guess what? The bleach really hurts the mangroves, it hurts the seagrass, and it's not good to have in the water. And the Extreme Clean, as well as most Starbright products, are all biodegradable. But now we've also come out with the Scuff Sponge in the XL size. And the reason why we're using the Extreme Clean so much is because the road grit. Also, people's shoes grinding in the grit into the gel coat when they're walking around on the floors. It also helps me take off any scuffs that they might have, and it's really easy as 1, 2, 3. So when you go down to your next retailer, ask them if they have the Extreme Clean by Starbright. So Dave, here at the CCA Workbench, you know, we always got to talk about new products. That was a great example of how well the Starbright stuff works. What I loved is that blood inside that fish box was 2 days old, and with that super XL scuff eraser.
Yeah, that sponge is awesome.
It just, the combo is
I actually
terrific.
posted a video the other day with that non-skid cleaner. Stuff's amazing. It really helped me out. First, we're going to talk about, we got a Coast of Straw hat. You know, I've always been a big fan of, I try to cover up a lot. You know, I should wear more sunscreen, but I don't like putting that stuff on, so I always wear a mask and a hat and sunglasses, so I'm covered up. This is one of the best hats you can get to wear. You need to have at least a good 4-inch brim around your head to keep all the sun off your face, and this really does a good job. It's 100% straw. Real natural, lightweight, it breathes really well. If you want to, you could even turn this, you know, coat this black a little, even to make it even more sun-friendly underneath. It's got a nice drawstring, so it'll keep it on your head in the wind, and a nice elastic band. I have a problem with most of these kind of hats because I have a very peanut head, a very small head, but this elastic band in here really helps out. It sticks this thing on my head really good. So make sure you go out and get you one of those Coast of Straw hats.
All right.
Really good to have. All right, next we have some, because it's Father's Day, we have some really cool clothes from Bell's Real Legends. These are all the men's, some of the men's clothing. This is a Real Tech shirt right here.
Yep.
That's made out of Real Tech fabric. It comes in short and long sleeves. It's kind of matching the one you got.
It kind of looks familiar.
Long or short sleeves, as you can see. UPF 40, you know, moisture wicking, quick dry. Just a really good fabric for going outside and fishing. And you can pair that with a good sandbar short. The really cool thing about the sandbar short is the beverage pocket. It's got a little pocket on there, so you can put a little beverage in there, whatever you want, a Coke or a beer or whatever you're drinking that day. Quick dry again, UPF 30 for the sandbar shorts. Next, you got some Mariner 2s. It's a woven shirt. It comes in solid colors in long and printed or short sleeve prints. So you can make a lot of different colors and stuff with that.
What I like about these, Dave, is they're vented in the back.
Very good venting in the back. They got a lot of utility pockets on them. Really good freedom of movement. They make them, you know, big enough so you can move around in them. Really nice shirts. And this is the tarpon shorts that go with them.
Yep.
Again, they got the half elastic on them and a lot of utility pockets. When you get about my size, you know, that elastic helps you out around the
skinny
around the haunches.
Skinny or fat, we're ready to go. They'll stretch around our
nice plier pocket, and again a UPF 30 rating on those, so really good for the.
I know a lot of old fellas that put their glasses, you know, their prescription glasses in there. Their readers.
Last we got this shirt right here is the Keep It Cool shirt. Really neat embossed stuff that they've got going here. If you move it around, you can see the embossment in there. It's really has strong cooling technology. You can tell how light that shirt is. It's like a wisp, you know, it's very light and, you know, featherweight, actually. Moisture wicking, ultimate comfort, you know, for being outside. They got the Mackerel convertible pants there with a performance stretch. They actually zip off into being shorts, which, you know, are always great. Actually, my wife wore some of those that were sent to me. We went out on the trip just recently, and she loved them because she could hike all day in them and zip the bottoms off. Yeah. The elastic waistband and pockets on them as well. You got to have a lot of pockets these days, and those do have them. So.
And you know, I've been wearing this stuff now all season, and I'm very, very impressed with the comfort.
Real Legends makes great stuff.
And you can get it at your local Bells right here in Florida.
Correct.
Right, Brie? I know you're a big fan.
I am. I go shopping at Bells all the time. And I have to say, Dave, I think you're better at describing women's clothing over there at the Bells. It's more fun for me to watch, at least.
I like to wear the skirts.
You did good. You did good. All right, the Bells Central East region never disappoints. So, Captain Jim, tell us what the weekend holds.
Well, you know, we have redfish here. We don't have many bonefish, but our redfish are much like bonefish in that they can be very challenging to catch. And so guys that are fishing right now, if you're looking for redfish, you really need to start somewhere around Browns Bay and Edgewater, and then you can work your way all the way down into the middle part of the Mosquito Lagoon towards the Pardon Island area. You can sight cast to most of the fish because they're cruising and tailing right now, and you can use a variety of baits to do that. Now, two of the best natural baits are live shrimp or live pigfish. The pigfish are just getting big enough that we're starting to use them now. But if you prefer to cast artificial lures, the Saltwater Assassin 4-inch shrimp cocktail is really, really good. You know, my favorite is either the Mud Bug, the Papa Smurf, or the Drunk Monkey colors. Those seem to work best. And you can free line live baits if you're going to be using your live baits. And you want to use a kale hook. That's one of the big things that the guys around here use, especially on the pigfish. They like to throw that kale hook. If you're going to use the Assassin, then you want to rig it with a VMC HDWG. Let me say that again, HDWG, heavy duty wide gap model. What this hook does is it gives you a little bit more weight than a standard wide gap hook does, and it allows you to cast it a little more accurately, especially if you've got a wind that you have to deal with. But it doesn't sink too quickly so that it gets down in the grass where the redfish can't find it. I like to use the 3/0 or 4/0 size VMC hook in the Saltwater Assassin shrimp. Like bonefish, our Mosquito Lagoon Reds are very spooky, so your presentation is critical. Make your cast about 3 to 4 feet in front of the fish and about 3 to 4 feet beyond it. Now, what you're going to do is you're going to slide the lure or bait in front of the redfish, just very easily dragging it in front of it so that it gets into its sight pattern. Once they see it, they'll normally run over there and slam it pretty aggressively. And I've got a picture here. You know, like I said, we don't have any bonefish in the Mosquito Lagoon, but here's one that Captain Mike Mann happened to catch on a live shrimp earlier this year.
All right, that's definitely him.
Nice.
That's him. A little small, but it's him. Our second species, Rick, is black drum. Now, the black drum action around the bridge pilings in my region has been pretty good. Also, the oyster bars from Edgewater and New Smyrna are holding quite a few smaller fish in the 2 to 6 pound range. That upper portion of the Mosquito Lagoon has got a lot of shrimp running right now and a lot of small crabs, and the black drum are starting to show up there in bigger numbers in the last couple of weeks to feed on those bait fish or on those types of baits. If you prefer fishing with an artificial, I like the Saltwater Assassin Sea Shag, and I put a 1/2 ounce jig head on it when I'm fishing in the deeper water around some of the rocky structures or places like Hallover Canal where I can get it down to the bottom. And what I do is I tip it with a piece of either crab, or you can use a fish bite. And I've been using either the crab scented or shrimp scented fish bites on it. And I've got a picture here. I've got a little headshot of a black drum with an assassin jig in his mouth. That happens to be the Pimp Daddy color, which is purple on back and chartreuse on the bottom. It has contrast, and the black drums seem to really like contrast in their baits, as well as the smell that the fish bite or the piece of shrimp or piece of crab creates. Now, I've got a second picture here of one of the drum that Debbie caught with me when she was out the other day, so that you can see the average size of the drum that are hanging around the bridges right now.
All right.
Now, swinging offshore, our grouper bite is getting pretty good right now. We do have some cold water that's moving into certain portions of the region right now, especially up in the Ponce area. We've had some cooler water, and then I just got a report very, very late this afternoon. Some cooler water was moving in towards the Sebastian area, but in the middle at Canaveral, that bite is still pretty good. 140 foot to about 250 foot is where the guys are catching most of the grouper right now, and they're getting red, gag, and scamp by dropping live baits on a standard bottom rig. Croakers, pinfish, and blue runners seem to be the best baits right now. Also, big chunk baits, big pieces of bonita or pieces of barracuda are working very well. Now, our average grouper is running about 15 to 20 pounds, but bring lots of baits. One of the things that I was told by most of the captains I talked to said bring 40 to 60 live baits with you, because those 20 to 30 pound unicorn snappers have been pretty vicious out there, and so you're going to have to deal with those red snapper to get through to those grouper.
Quickly on the mackerel, quickly.
Yep, our last species in the Bell Central East region is king mackerel. Those guys and gals, if you want to go out and catch them, basically a Magnum X-Rap Rapala, either the 15 or 20 model. Pull these at 3 to 5 knots, or you can pull ballyhoo, sardines, or cigar minnows, frozen ones, on a stinger rig, or you can catch live bait. And most of our king mackerel right now are running 10 to 15 pounds. We're also getting a pretty good number of little dolphin that are starting to come in this week too. So it's been a pretty good week overall.
All right, Jim, we got to go. Thank you so much. We're going to take a look at your hot spots. We'll talk to you next week. He says inshore, speckled trout in Mosquito Lagoon, free line, live pigfish on a 4.0 kale hook in the grassy areas. And then offshore, king mackerel on 25 to 50 foot depth, slow troll, live pilchards, threadfin herrings on a wire stinger rig.
All right, since we're in the Bell's Central East region, now is the perfect time to remind everyone to head on over to any Bell's store location through June 16th and enter to win a fishing trip with Rick and I. You must be 18 years or older to enter, and you must be a Florida resident. So good luck, and we hope to be fishing with you very soon. All right, our captains in the Startron Central West and Northeast regions are patiently waiting to give you their fish finding reports for the weekend, so make sure to stay tuned. But before we go, we want to remind you that if you want to be up to date on all things fishing in Florida, make sure to visit our website, like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, watch us on YouTube, and check us out on Instagram. We'll be right back.
The Florida Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Rapala, another great day. Startron, cures and prevents ethanol fuel problems. Yeti, built for the wild. CCA Florida, the voice of recreational anglers for over 30 years. Ameritrail, load, launch, relax. And Strike Zone Fishing.
Titan and Titan XD Diesel from Harbor Trucks has America's best truck warranty, 5 years, 100,000-mile bumper-to-bumper, and can tow up to 12,000 pounds. Harbor Trucks has the largest selection of Titan XD and Titan in Florida, starting at $29,000. Harbor Trucks is conveniently located halfway between Tampa and Naples. Harbor Trucks, the place to buy.
Oh, there it is. You can either stay busy fishing or get busy catching. From Texas to Tampa Bay or Key West to the Carolinas and beyond. For nearly 20 years, anglers everywhere have come to know one thing, that nothing says no to fish bites. Ask for Fish Bites and Fish Bites Fight Club lures by name or visit fishbites.com.
Find Florida's soul and discover Crystal River. Explore warm Gulf waters, spring-fed rivers, bountiful lakes, and fantastic fishing. Dive into adventure and enjoy the only place in the world where you can swim with the manatees. Treat yourself and your family to outdoor fun, rich history, and a relaxed coastal lifestyle. Discover Crystal River, Florida.
So we're here at Harbor Trucks with Aaron Kennedy, the truck specialist. Aaron, let's talk about the gas version. What competes against in the 1500 market with all the other brands. Let's talk a little bit about it.
Yeah, absolutely. What we have here, this is the 5.6 liter V8. It's one of the biggest ones in its class with some of the best horsepower, just under 400 horsepower on this thing, also with right around 400 pounds of torque.
So we got a bigger motor than the competition itself. So inside, trim packages, let's talk a little bit about that and compare to the competition.
Oh, I'm glad you asked that. So here's what's great about this trim package. This is the SV with the premium package. This has options you're not going to find unless you're going to spend $10,000 more on the competitor. I'm talking navigation, heated seats, rear view camera monitor, blind spot monitoring, the premium cloth seating. You're going to spend a lot more on some of the other trucks out there.
So as far as that stuff goes, we also can get this in Platinum Plus as well as two-tone colors, correct?
Oh, absolutely. With that truck, you get the cooled seats as well, all around view monitor. I mean, there's so many different configurations
You
for
know,
this truck.
one of the features I like about my Titan is that I have the ability to either fold the backrest of the back seat down, forming a bench all the way across, or I have the ability to fold the bottom part of the seat up so that I have floor space all the way to the roof.
All the way.
When it comes to storage. Now let's talk a little bit about our warranty.
Oh, great. Our new Nissans come standard with a 5-year, 100,000-mile limited bumper-to-bumper warranty. And if you get one of our CPOs, it's going to take that powertrain all the way to 7 years.
So guys, what I hear here is that we got a bigger motor, we have cheaper trim packages, a cheaper truck in itself, and then more importantly, we have even a better warranty. So if you have any questions about this stuff, go to harbortrucks.com.
Sounds like a no-brainer to me.
It is a no-brainer. What do you think?
I think, well,
we got a new blue one right here behind us now.
I know, it's so pretty. All right, guys, remember, Harbor Trucks has partnered with Casa Vieja Lodge, and 2 lucky winners will get a 4-day, 3-night trip to come fish in Guatemala with Rick and I at Casa Vieja Lodge. So make sure to head over to our website at FloridaInsiderFishingReport.com and make sure you enter that. All right, the StarTron Central West region is now up with Captain Jeff Page at the helm. So, Jeff, let's hear it.
Well, you guys, you know, we don't have any bonefish to speak of in our region, but I got to thinking, what would be the next best thing? Well, we have a pretty good inshore permit bite. And when I say inshore, I mean along the beaches, around the sandbars, and even up in the bays. I like to find them, Rick, around the Passage Key Bar and Egmont Key Bar, especially on calmer days when you can see them flashing up on the sand. They're going to be cruising in anywhere from 6 feet to 2 feet of water. And, of course, if you've got a small crab, that's your best bet. But the U-Pro Flats jig works real well in a pink and white or a yellow and white pattern. And down south around Gasparilla Pass and Boca Grande Pass on the bars, you're going to have the same pattern. And don't be surprised if you find a few pompano mixed in with them. Another good telltale sign is look for the cow nose rays up on the bars, and a lot of times the permits and the pompanos will be mixed in with them. I've got a really good inshore permit photo tonight of a happy client. His name's Brian Kidd, and he caught a bunch of inshore permit with Captain Gary Huffman of Tuna Breath Charters out of Palmasola, Florida. Staying inshore, snook fishing, Rick, is really good. The water's up into the mid-80s, but the snook bite is off the chain. Lots of fish along the beaches, in the passes, and also around the bridges at night. On the higher stages of the tide, look for the fish around the mangroves, shorelines, and oyster bars in Terracea, Palmasola Bay, and also Little Sarasota Bay, which is south of Stickney Point, but north of Venice Jetty. Down in Charlotte Harbor, the West Wall, as well as the Turtle Bay Bar, have been holding some good snook. The Key Rick has been finding areas without the dreaded floating snodgrass. You find that, you're going to catch snook. Live pilchards have been the best bet, but topwater plugs like bone chartreuse skitterworks and soft plastics like the Bass Assassin 5-inch jerkbait in the Houdini pattern rigged on a 1/4-ounce chartreuse jig head will get the job done. My first snook photo is Jesse Redfish Wright of Vet Fishing Center out of Largo with a nice snook he got nighttime fishing. And then my second photo is to promote the 3rd annual Big Art Shiver Snook Tournament, which, as you know, Rick, the boys down in Bradenton, they take their snook fishing serious. June 21st and 22nd out of Blankers Marina, and it's the 4 biggest snook over a 48-hour period, all photo release, and it's going to take 4 40-inchers to win this thing, because you know how those Bradenton boys catch snook.
Let's go offshore, bub.
Red grouper, Captain Tim Noah, the Flying Fish Fleet, reports good red grouper action in as close as 70, but he's been getting his good fish in 110 feet of water, and he's been finding them on small Swiss cheese, hard bottom areas, using a lot of frozen sardines and a few live pinfish. Got a really nice red grouper, mangrove snapper photo of a big meat wagon catch on the flying fish out of Marina Jack, and it ties right in with my last species, mangrove snapper. We got the full moon coming up, Rick. These next few days and nights are going to be really good mangrove snapper. The Gulf is laying down. That means the seas are going to be a lot calmer. The snapper bite's going to be good because it's going to be a little murky, because you know how finicky they can be in that clear water. Look for the snappers over hard bottom areas and ledges, in as close as 40 feet, out to 100 foot plus, live filtered Spanish sardines and pinfish, but also make sure you have some frozen bait to cut up his chum. And a small number 2-0 circle hook is going to get the job done, you guys. Tight line.
All right, bud, thank you so much. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the Daiquiri Deck Central West region hotspots. Inshore nighttime snook and tarpon fishing is on fire at New Pass and Longboat Pass bridges on the outgoing tide. Live ladyfish or mullet is your best bait. And then mangrove snapper. With the full moon approaching, the nighttime snapper bite on the nearshore reefs is on fire.
All right, if there's anyone who knows how to do Father's Day, it's Captain Tommy D in the Strike Zone Northeast region. Right, Data 3?
That's right, man. I'm looking forward to Father's Day. It's a big event around here. You know, guys, I wish I could say that we had some bonefish here in the Strike Zone Northeast region, but as you know, we're just a little too far north for their liking. You know, what we do have is what some refer to as the redneck bonefish, a.k.a. the redfish. And we have some great redfish tides this Father's Day weekend to target those reds. You know, with the high tide early in the morning, it's going to be a great time to bust out your Rapala skitterwalks. You know, I spoke to Captain Buzz Brandon from NortheastFloridaAngling.com. He tells me the topwater bite is on in both the Chickapit and the Hannah Mill area up there in Jacksonville. Now, he's just looking for mullet schools along the edges of the grass, and he's going to have his clients work those topwaters right through those schools of mullet. And once it gets hot out, as it's been getting hot a lot lately, and the tide drops out, I've been fishing the oyster shell banks right along the ICW this week in St. Augustine, north of the Volano Bridge. Now, look for the shell bars that have that steeper drop-off right next to the channel. The redfish have been stacking up there on the last hour of the outgoing tide and that first hour of incoming. Live mullet, mud minnows, and live shrimp, rigged on a 1/4 to 3/8 ounce jig head, depending on what the current's doing, have all been working really well. Now, I also spoke to Captain Chris Herrera from PalmCoastFishing.com. He tells me he's been catching all kinds of redfish and some trout as well under the docks north of Bing's Landing in Palm Coast, as well as the docks around Matanzas Inlet. Now, Chris says the reds are moving off the flats in that heat of the day, and they're going to be hanging out under those docks. He's pitching a live finger mullet on a jig head with enough weight to hold the bottom underneath the docks. Now, Chris said there's some nice upper slot fish in there, so you're probably going to want to lock the drag down a little bit to get them out of the pilings. And speaking of upper slot redfish, I thought this picture was fitting for Father's Day. Captain Chris sent me this pic of McCullough and his son Ben with a couple of nice redfish they caught from under the docks this past week.
Perfection.
Nice.
Yeah. So, also inshore, guys, we've got a pretty steady flounder bite happening throughout the region this week. In Jacksonville, from Mayport Inlet back towards downtown, any of the riprap and docks, they've all been holding some nice flounder. The docks around downtown St. Augustine are all also holding some nice fish. I got several reports of some bigger fish showing up this week. Now, a finger mullet on a fish finder rig is the go-to as usual, but a big mud minnow is going to work as well. Now, the creeks throughout the entire region on low tide, they've also been holding some nice flounder. Now, I fished some of the close-in wrecks just off the beach this past week and found some big flatties hanging out there as well. Don't be afraid to use some big mullet if you're looking for some big flounder. And I've got a photo that I took here. This is my man, Mike. He used some big 6 to 8 inch mullet, and he was rewarded with some big flounder that we caught just off the beach. Just remember, let those big fish chew for a bit before setting the hook. Now, moving offshore, I can't stop talking about the kingfish bite that's happening across the region right now. They're still stacked up at all the nearshore reefs from Fernandina all the way to Ponce. Float troll, live pogies, spoons, or Rapala plugs over some structure or around the bait school. We're coming up on that full moon that Jeff was talking about, and some of those giant smoker kings are probably going to be on the beach as well. Again, just look for concentrations of bait. That's where you're going to find those big fish. Now, there has been a little bit of upwelling in certain areas, so make sure you find that warmer water as well. Now, also offshore, and speaking of that full moon again, the mangrove snapper should start to fire up as we get closer to this weekend and into next week. I spoke to Captain Billy Hunsicker from EndlessSummerCharters.com. He tells me he's been catching some really big mangoes this week, and there's also some big muttons mixed in as well. He said the mangoes are full of roe, so look for that spawn to happen real soon. He's going to target the big wrecks and ledges from about 100 to about 140 feet. And once they get fired up and start spawning, he's going to chum them up in the water column with chunks of sardines. And once you get them going on those sardines, just free line back a piece of one and hold on. And I got one last picture here, guys. My buddy Jamie Schroeder sent me this picture of his 13-year-old son, Aiden, with a couple of monster mangoes he caught in 130-foot to St. Augustine. Figure that's probably going to make a pretty awesome Father's Day dinner right there.
You're absolutely right. Hey, Tommy, I got a question. What are you going to be doing for Father's Day with all those girls, dude?
I'm taking them fishing, man. What else, you know?
Nice.
Yeah, actually, we're going to go fishing. We're going to have a good time.
All right. What is there anything specific they want to catch?
Probably going to, we would love to go try to catch some tarpon. It might be a little rough out on the beach, so redfish or tarpon, one of those two. That's their favorite to go out.
All right, well, good luck. Give them all a kiss for me and Aunt Brie, and we will go ahead and check you out next week. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the hot spots from the Northeast region. Inshore, redfish, trout, and flounder around and under the bridges, under the docks near all the area inlets. A fish finder mullet. A fingerling mullet or a mud minnow with enough weight to hold the bottom. And then offshore, kingfish, both on the beach and on the nearshore reefs across the region. Be on the lookout for some sailfish that are mixed in as well.
I'm excited to see the picture he's going to get with all three girls. Oh, my heart. All right, if you're waiting for the Fish Bites East region, we're taking you there next, so make sure to stay hooked only on the Florida Insider Fishing
Report.
Oh, good job. Just checking. Make sure you pay attention.
Still awake.
The Florida Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Harbor Trucks. Visit harbortrucks.com. Yamaha. Reliability starts here. Suffix. Always use the best line. The IGFA. Fish for the world. Sportsman's Adventures. Fishing for adventure. And Bells. Everything you need to live life local.
An entirely new species of extreme predator is moving offshore. The Yamaha 5.6-liter V8 XTO offshore outboard. Extreme big block thrust and power in the industry's first direct injection 4-stroke. Quiet, efficient, powerful, and proven Yamaha reliability. More than an outboard, it's a fully integrated power system. The all-new Yamaha V8 XTO offshore.
Out here, you need the power to control your environment, or it may control you. The power of the Kubota L2501DT. It comes with all the easy-to-use implements you need, and the kind of comfort that delivers a satisfied smile all day long. Get the L2501DT for as low as $139 a month with 0% APR financing for 84 months, plus a 6-year warranty.
Find a Kubota dealer near you at gokubota.com.
Remember the glory days of gasoline? It's just not made the same anymore.
Kick your gas into gear with StarTron. Pump up the performance in all of your engines. Cure the problems of ethanol with the power of enzymes. And maximize your mileage every time you drive. Kickstart your engines with StarTron.
Harbor Trucks has the largest selection of new and used car and truck inventory in Southwest Florida. Our used vehicle inventory goes through a 120-point inspection process performed by certified technicians. Exclusive to Florida Insider Fishing Report viewers is our Peace of Mind Harbor Truck warranty. If you don't see what you're looking for, give us a call and we can get it for you. Go to harbortrucks.com and click on the Florida Insider Fishing Report tab.
Today's Power Pole Tip of the Week is about the switches that are going to come in the box with your power poles. Now understand, guys, if you buy 2 power poles, you're going to have 4 switches. There's no need to program all 4 of those switches. Just pick your favorite switch. Like in my case, I really love the multifunction switch. I can program this to run all the poles on my boat. So there's no need to use all 4 switches. Now, the reason why I like the multifunction switch is simply because I can isolate the individual poles. I can make one go up while the other one stays down. And while I'm out drift fishing with paddles, this seems to work very well. I can manipulate the angle of the boat. The other thing that I do is sometimes I'll pick up one pole, pivot the boat using the trolling motor, get the angle that I like going down the shoreline, and then I can pick up the secondary pole. So keep in mind that you don't need all the switches, and use your multifunction switch to manipulate the boat the way you want. And that's today's Power Pole Tip of the Week.
It's like a dance, right?
It is a dance. Up
Gotta
and
learn
down,
the moves. Gotta learn the Power Pole moves.
That's
All right,
it.
the bonefish you can catch in the Fish Bites East region might be a little different than those you can catch in the Keys and Bahamas, but it's still a caught bonefish in my book. All right, let's hear from Captain Holiday to hear what he has to say on the subject.
It is a bonefish. We do have bonefish in my region. Most of the time, they're incidental catches for anglers that are looking for pompano, either in the surf or around the inlets. You can target them along the shoreline at Peanut Island and Palm Beach, also in the surf off Greg Norman's house, and at Hope Sound Public Beach, and also, pretty much on any of the sandbars off Jupiter Island. You can catch them by wading or poling the shorelines, looking for schools of fish in 4 to 10 feet of water out on the beach. In the shallows, the fish can be targeted with a live shrimp on a number 4 hook with a split shot or a 1/16 ounce jig head. In the deeper water, you can fish them from a boat or use surf rods. You need those longer surf rods to reach that outer sandbar, and you will just want to throw, a live or cooked sand flea, shrimp or crab flavored fish bites, or even just a piece of shrimp will work. The species of bonefish we see in my region are not the same ones I see in the Florida Keys. They're a smaller species. They average about 1 pound or 2, but they do fight great on light tackle, and they are a bonefish. The other thing we got going, the beach fishery for tarpon is just kind of kicking into gear, and it's been a little bit inconsistent the last week. So the best summer tarpon bite in my region right now is in the inshore locations that hold resident fish, places like around the Boy Scout camp up in the Loxahatchee River, the North and South Forks of the St. Lucie River, Big and Little Mud Creeks in the Indian River, and also that channel leading into Harbor Branch in the Indian River. Those are, arbitrarily rolling fish. You target those fish by throwing a 4-inch Houdini-colored sea shad. You throw that at the rolling fish and just let it sink for about 3 seconds and really, real slow. The bite is very soft. You can set the hook as soon as you feel that little tap and see the fish go into the air. A live mullet will also work on those rolling fish. Now, the thing you want to remember, the June full moon is this weekend. That's my single favorite time to fish tarpon at night in the inlets in my region. You can target those inlet fish with a live 6 to 10-inch mullet or a threadfin or a pilchard. You just want to drift your bait out the inlets on the outgoing tide or around the mouth of the inlets on the incoming tide. You can slow troll them on your trolling motor. I also expect the action on the beach fish to pick up with that full moon this weekend. The best bites are going to be in the afternoon using live crabs or pilchards. Average tarpon is going to be 50 to 80 pounds. I do have a photo. Captain Ed Zayak of Jensen Beach, he sent me that shot of leaping tarpon. He went 4 for 5 on tarpon this week. 2 of those fish were on fly, and all those fish were hooked in the St. Lucie River.
Cool. All right, let's go offshore, Bubba.
Well, calm seas and a building moon have really fired up the snapper bite in the region. The best action is taking place on the reefs in 70 to 90 feet of water from Vero Beach all the way south to Hope Sound, and then in 90 to 110 feet of water, pretty much straight off the Juneau Pier. Seems like there's more big mangrove snapper up in Fort Pierce and more yellowtail and muttons on the southern end of my region. It's a little early for those mangroves to move into the inlets, but there have been a few mutton snapper on the patch reefs in Fort Pierce and Vero Beach in 25 feet of water. Target those snapper with live or dead baits on the bottom. Grunt plugs, Spanish sardines, pilchards, those are going to be your top baits. You can anchor up and chum on the northern end of my region, but really from like Hope Sound south, there's so many sharks. You might catch a few fish, but those sharks will move in and start taking a heavy toll. So you're really just better off drifting over the reef. Average snapper, 2 to 5 pounds. That's your mangrove snapper. They're going to be fishing 10 pounds. Muttons are going to be more like 5 to 15 pounds. I got a photo there. Excuse me, that's Jennifer Cameron with a nice mutton snapper she caught. She was fishing a Floridian charter boat with her husband, Captain Glenn Cameron. That fish ate a grub plug in 80 feet of water. The other thing we got, there's still plenty of kingfish scattered throughout the region all the way from the beach out to 130 feet of water. Look for the kings around the bait schools in places like the reef off Jupiter, the Loran Tower, the 6 and 8 mile reefs off Stewart, the offshore bar off Fort Pierce, the Kingfish Hole at Hope Sound, and also up in the Vero Cove. What's kind of interesting about the bite is the fish are all sizes. You catch an 8-pounder on one bait and then a 40-pounder on the next bait. The most consistent way to target the king, find the bait schools and either troll around the bait or drift in that same area with a live or dead Spanish sardine, either on a number 4 wire stinger rig or a triple hook monofilament Palm Beach rig. There's also, a lot of blue runners still around. They're great kingfish bait, as are redfin, goggle eyes, and mullet. Average king of my region is going to be under 20 pounds.
All right, tell me about the bass, bub.
Well, the bass fishing on Lake Okeechobee is in its summertime mode. And that means, you need to be on the water in the dark because the bite, for the most part, is over by like 10 a.m. I was talking to Captain Mike Shellen of OkeechobeeBassFishing.com. He's telling me the water temperatures on the lake are already around 85 degrees. And, the water levels are around 11 feet. That's pushed the fish to the outside edges. Start your day throwing a white, double-bladed spinnerbait. One of those blades should be gold, one should be silver. He seems to like the willow leaf blade better. The other thing you could throw is a hammer time or black shad-colored Bass Assassin 5-inch dye dapper. Look for the fish busting shad up in the Kissimmee grass around Observation Shoal, Bird Island, or the point in the reef. Throw up in that Kissimmee grass and just reel it across the top. You get those real nice blow-ups. Most of those fish are schoolies, but there is an occasional 4-pounder. All the big fish are coming from the outside grass lines or around the isolated cattails with the guys that are using live shiners. That shiner bite's producing like 40 fish a morning, up to 8.5 pounds. So there's still some good fish in the mix. And once you hit that midday heat, that 10, 11, 12 o'clock, even the shiner bite's shutting down. But you can flip those isolated cattails with a June bug colored skunk ape or 8-inch June bug worm with a chartreuse tail, and look for that just one big fish. So, Okeechobee's hot, not just the fishing, but the water temperatures and all the heat that's going on. You want to be on the water early and off the water early as well.
All right, Mike. Well, I'm going to be in Jupiter filming a Sportsman's Adventure episode. Maybe we can get together and have a little bite. All right, thanks.
That'd be groovy.
All right, dude. Great report. We'll talk to you this weekend, and let's take a look at the TH Marine hotspots from the East region. He says, inshore, tarpon in Fort Pierce Inlet on the outgoing tide, live mullet, crabs, or thread fins in the mouth of the inlets at night. And then offshore, sailfish in 130 feet of water around the Wickstrom Reef. Slow troll or drift thread fins around that structure.
You're gonna get groovy with Mike Holiday.
Groovy,
baby. You're gonna be in Jupiter?
Yeah.
Oh man, you're gonna be up in my neck of the woods.
Yeah, man. You all want to go drinky?
No, I didn't get a fishing invite.
What
is up with that? All right, the Florida Insider Fishing Report is coming to a close
I knew
for
I
this week.
forgot something.
Oh, forgot me. Before we go, we're telling you what exciting species we're talking about next week. So make sure you stick around for a bit longer, and we'll be right back.
Titan and Titan XD Diesel from Harbor Trucks has America's best truck warranty, 5 years, 100,000-mile bumper-to-bumper, and can tow up to 12,000 pounds. Harbor Trucks has the largest selection of Titan XD and Titan in Florida, starting at $29,000. Harbor Trucks is conveniently located halfway between Tampa and Naples. Harbor Trucks, the place to buy.
Master your most challenging offshore experience with confidence and ease with Yamaha Helmmaster. Precise, intuitive control on the open seas. Unrivaled ease for maneuvering and docking in port. And now SetPoint adds 3 new dimensions to boat control. Maintain boat position with fish point, or a position and heading with stay point, or a heading while you drift with drift point. Yamaha Helmmaster. Now with SetPoint. Complete digital control for today's larger offshore boats.
For the bass that thinks it's a bulldog. For the walleye that thinks it's a freight train. For the tuna that thinks it's a torpedo. For the tarpon that thinks it's a tarpon. You need the mono that thinks it's a braid. Suffix Advance. New Advanced Mono with HMPE braid molecules for strength, abrasion resistance, and low stretch. Suffix Advance. The mono that thinks it's a braid.
All right, make sure to tune in next week because the species we are talking about is kids. We're taking the kids, human beings. We're taking the kids fishing. That is always a fun show. Remember, if you want to have your kids on set with us filming, make sure to sign up on the website. There's still time.
Bring all the
Don't think there's no more time.
There's still time,
There's
and we
probably
still want
no
all
more
the kids.
space.
We want all of the kids. There's always space for kids. We'll put them, maybe not under the truck,
boy.
under the dock, in the boat, on your shoulders.
Don't you love how she's making decisions for us, Dave?
Talking about the kids. Have a great Father's Day weekend. Guys,
Hey, have a happy, good
Happy
Father's Day, guys.
Catch lots of
Bye.
fish. Send in your photos. Bye.